This whole idea of false memory syndrome and implanted memories by psychologists, therapists, and hypnotherapists is complete and utter shite. Now, in fact, the concept was purposely created to discredit survivors of satanic ritual abuse, so SRA, in the 1980s. And the 1980s are often referred to as the era of satanic panic by the media and law enforcement agencies as a way to downplay the actual cases which were being reported on a regular basis, such as with the cult The Finders. Now, it's important to state it isn't impossible to implant a memory in somebody's mind, but doing it during a therapy session or even a couple of therapy sessions is near impossible. And in Canada in the 1950s and 60s, Dr. Ewan Cameron, who was a psychiatrist, who happened to also conduct many interviews with the Nazi doctors as part of the Nuremberg trials, decided that as a means to cure schizophrenia, he would try and rewrite people's minds by first inducing amnesia and then implanting a host of new memories. And if you've ever seen A Clockwork Orange by Stanley Kubrick and the lad having his eyes peeled back, it was kind of like that, but way more extreme. So the technique that he developed, he called psychic driving. And this was administered to around 200 unsuspecting people who'd gone to him for help. And most were suffering from depression, not schizophrenia. Now, the really important thing to understand about this whole thing is psychic driving wasn't achieved by just playing a few hypnosis tapes or doing a couple of hypnosis regression sessions. These individuals underwent electroshock therapy. They were drugged using drugs like barbiturates, phencyclidine, insulin, and chlorpromazine, and they were forced into a drug-induced sleep where abusive hypnosis tapes played on repeat for up to 16 hours at a time. They were also socially isolated, underwent deprivation tactics, and had a whole host of other things done to them to get them into the amnesiac state first before any new memories were implanted. Now, the only way he was able to achieve this was by experimenting on people who were locked away in his facility, not people rocking up on a Thursday afternoon for an hour and then venturing home. Now, in the 1980s, 9 of his victims took the USA government to court for their involvement in the funding of the experiments as part of the MK Ultra experiments. And now it's really the reason it's important to debunk this whole false memory syndrome thing is that if you're having therapy and you start having flashbacks of traumatic experiences, they won't have been planted in your head by the person who's treating you. Now, while this doesn't actually mean that your flashbacks are a true representation of what's happened in your life, you will have seen what's been represented in your mind somewhere. It just may not be exactly as you remember it. So here's an example. As a child, I would wake up in the middle of the night terrified, convinced I was being chased by crocodiles, and the images were so vivid that they remained after I woke up, and I could see them like in the room, on the carpet, in the bedroom, and it was so terrifying. I would used to jump from my bed into my sister's bed in the middle of the night, screaming my hair off, and obviously she wasn't very happy with me. But this would happen night after night after night, and it wasn't until my mid-30s that I actually realized I was recreating the Peter Pan crocodile that I'd seen as a child on the cartoon in my mind as something that was helping me understand that something that was going on in my life was making me afraid. Now, this is really important because we can't actually imagine things that we've never seen or had described to us by somebody else, which also includes watching films. And FYI, this is why I believe we absolutely should wholeheartedly honor the age ratings on films and games. Now, children, especially young children, are extremely vulnerable if they witness something emotionally damaging. It's why domestic abuse in the home, even when not directed at the child, can be extremely detrimental to that child's future. Now, you might be thinking, but what about the people who invent new things? Like, they've never seen that new thing before. True. However, they may have not seen it in that format before, but they will have seen something that sparked the idea. So, say, for example, the invention of aeroplanes. And yes, there were no aeroplanes, but there were, and thankfully are, birds. So, the original flying machines actually tried to recreate flight in the same way, with flapping wings and all. Then trying, testing, tweaking things, pulling information from other disciplines enabled the creation of what we know as an aeroplane today. They didn't wake up one morning with a fully crafted working concept. It took years and people from all over the world testing and tinkering before a working model was perfected. So how does this help you? Well, much like in the previous post, there is no point in stressing over a past event which you squished down if it resurfaces. Instead, take a deep breath, accept it as a memory, and just let it go. Now, holding on to it causes immense harm. Instead, hold on to the fact that no matter what the memory says happened, you survived it. Like, you should never let the memory of a traumatic experience be the thing that kills you. And this is especially true if the event wasn't even real in the first place and it wasn't a representation of what actually happened. Now, here's a few tips to help you utilize this newfound knowledge and help you heal. So, number one, breathe and release. Now, if you've ever find a random negative memory bubbling up to the surface in the same way the garlic sauce from a late night kebab does, simply stop what you're doing. Acknowledge that you've had a memory, that the event is not happening at this moment. Next, take 6 long, really slow, deep breaths. And if it helps you, challenge yourself to see how slow you can go until you've completely filled your lungs, similarly expelling them. So take your focus off the memory and onto counting as you breathe. And doing this triggers your autonomic nervous system to switch out of the sympathetic state, which is your stress state, and back into the parasympathetic state, which is your rest and digest state. This is going to naturally calm your body and let stress slowly dissipate out of your system. Number two, affirm survival. So using positive affirmations which are focused on your current state, such as I survived and I'm safe now. The experience has passed and I'm safe. Or I survived the experience, the memory of it has no power over me. Reinforces resilience by restructuring your neural networks and cutting anxiety loops, but only if you do it repeatedly. It isn't magic. It isn't going to work just doing it once. Plus, those magicians, they practice their tricks thousands of times, so they pull them off instinctually. And number three, anchor in the present. So take out your smartphone and take a picture, any picture, which represents one positive thing that you have in your life right now. It doesn't matter how small this thing is, as long as it's true. So it could be your bed. It could be a card you were given on your birthday, even a picture of a running tap. Anything. Next, grab a journal, and before you roll your eyes at me and groan, yes, you need to be writing this by hand because this is what the science shows is effective. Now, while looking at the picture, write all the things that make it a good thing. And it doesn't matter what it is. You're not being judged. This is your representation of what's good in your life. Then list out all the positive emotion you've attached to this one thing. Now, throughout the day, every time you use the thing or see the thing, tune into one of those emotions that you listed out. And this is going to help you pull out of your negative emotional state and shift you into a positive emotional state. And if you do it enough times, the emotional pull from negative to positive will happen without you being consciously aware of it. You'll literally be priming your mind to use your environment to trigger your happy hormones on autopilot, and take it to the next level by getting your photos printed out and turning the journal into a little scrapbook. Now, this is really key because then you can have it on hand to grab at any time you need it to help you if you are ever slammed by an unsuspecting traumatic memory. So whatever you do today, remember that you are the director of your life story. It doesn't have to be a horror story. You have the power to choose what your future looks like. You've just got to be brave enough to step into the breach. Until next time. P.S. If you've loved the tips and are craving more, I have a treat for you. So right now you can register for a free 29-day self-care mini challenge where you get one micro task a day, which takes around 5 minutes to do, but is guaranteed to trigger serotonin, oxytocin, and dopamine for a fast-paced mood boosting fix. So head over to the Happiness Hacks Lab /self-care and register now. It's completely free. Now don't delay because this opportunity won't be around forever.